Hey guys, Daniel here with Value Investing with Daniel. In this video, I'm going to show you my strategy that I use to narrow down my universe of stocks so I can focus in a more concentrated universe of better companies that are more fairly priced. So I do use screeners to sort of narrow down my universe. If you look on Y charts here, for example, I mean, the universe of equity starts at about 29,000, right? So it's very difficult to look at every single one of these, but what we can do is we can employ some parameters to reduce the number of these, so that way, we can look at, much less and be more focused in terms of our approach. So let's get right into it. So the first screener that I usually employ is I tend to look for companies that have shown some revenue growth over, let's say, the last 10 years. So we can look at something like revenue 10-year growth. And I like companies that are at least able to grow their revenues in line with inflation over the last 10 years. So we can apply a 3% annualized average rate of growth in terms of revenues as our first filter. And as you can see right there, that takes the universe of stocks down from 29,000 to about 5,300. So pretty significant. That means that, what is that, like something like 80% of companies or something along those lines simply don't meet the criteria of being able to grow at, 3% per year, which is not very good, but better than companies that are shrinking in terms of their revenues. The next thing that I look at is the company's ability to deliver returns on the capital within the business. And again, I look at the 10-year average or median in this case, and I like to see it above 10% as a very minimum. Because you can have some companies that are growing over time in terms of their return on invested capital. So I'm not trying to be too strict in the screening criteria, but I am trying to eliminate a lot of the worst companies out there. So let's apply that there. And boom, as you can see right there, now we're already down to 1,207 companies. There is a button up here. I know it might be covered by where I am on the screen, but it says remove duplicates. If we press that, now we are down basically the duplicates, like for example, Google Class A and Google Class C it wouldn't show up twice, it would only show up once. That's removing the duplicates. And as you can see here, just by employing these two screeners and removing the duplicates, we're already down to less than 1,000. So from 29,000 all the way down now to only 1,000 companies for us to look at. We can add basically one more thing if we'd like. We can look at basically the company's ability to grow its cash flows over the last, let's say, 10 years as well. And same thing, we're looking for them to be able to have growing cash flows over the last 10 years. So let's apply a 3% rate. And right there, now we are down just with these three screeners. We went from a universe of 29,000 stocks all the way down to 563. So that's substantial. That's uh, really substantial in terms of uh, the number of companies that we have to work with, the number of companies that we have to deal with. Rather than it being so large, 29,000, we only have basically 563 to look through one by one now, which is what I like to do. We can obviously add more screeners here, narrow down our universe even further. But the thing is, sometimes things will be blocked out that are otherwise okay if you're too strict in terms of your screening. I don't recommend you use anything more than, let's say, 3 or 4 screeners. What I recommend that you do is, let's say, use 3 or 4 good screeners to filter out the absolute garbage and then look at things one by one. The other thing that I do like to include, and this is something that's good with Y charts, is you can put equations in here. Like for example, let's say I want the return on invested capital 3-year median to be higher than the return on invested capital 10-year median, meaning the company's ability to deliver returns on its capital is improving over time. We can add that filter in and boom, right there, it takes it down to less than 300. So this means that by employing just 4 simple filters, basically, our universe of stocks goes down from 29,000 to 290. So we're narrowing in our focus, and we can see we're left behind with a lot of really good companies here for us to look through, and we can look through them one by one. We don't have to spend more than a minute or two on each company for it to then get through to our next process, which would be more serious looking at the financial statements and so forth. So keep that in mind. That's something that I like to do. Obviously, you have to look at these companies one by one now, but rather than looking at 29,000 companies, you're only looking at 290. So keep that in mind. I hope you found this video informative. Be sure to like and subscribe the video to my channel. And if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Any questions or anything along those lines, I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks.